Hey everybody, coming here from the Awana room, and I am here just to go over a few verses and teach a little bit about fear. As we know, this week we are inside, trying not to go very many places. By the way, it's okay to go in your backyard, that's fine. So get out and enjoy God's nature. I heard the birds chirping this morning and it was wonderful. But I want to come to you every week and just give you kids a little break and also okay, I want to give you a little something that a little what am I trying to say? A junior church message. So we're going to talk a little bit about fear. As we know, we can see fear all around us. Fear of getting sick, fear of not having enough toilet paper, lots of little things. But if we have Christ in our lives, we know that He's going to take care of us. He says in the Bible, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. That doesn't mean not prepare, but that means that we don't need to worry. So here's a little clip about fear.
How can we fight fear? Everybody is afraid of something. Even the people we admire in the Bible felt fear. In Luke, the shepherds were afraid when an angel came to tell them about the birth of Jesus. In Mark, while Jesus slept, Jesus' disciples were afraid when a powerful storm almost sunk their ship. The book of John says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." But what are some ways we can do this? When we are afraid, we should go to God in prayer and tell Him all about it. We can ask Him for strength and courage. Just talking to God about your fears can increase your faith and make you feel stronger. We can study the brave characters in the Bible and try to be like them. Try reading about Joshua, Caleb, Esther, Gideon, and the Apostle Paul. Can you think of more people from the Bible who trusted in God and overcame their fears? We can learn from their good examples. If we feel nervous about something, we can also talk to someone we trust who can give us good advice. Sharing our fears with others can make them seem small. Do you like to sing? Singing hymns or other church songs is a way to feel less afraid and closer to God. How about counting your blessings? Focusing on the good, positive things God has given us can take away fear and show us that things might not be as bad as they seem. Lastly, remember that we can always rely on God to help overcome our fears. If our faith is strong, our fears become weak. So, how can we fight our fears? By praying, talking to someone we trust, singing uplifting songs, counting our blessings, and increasing our faith and trust in God.
So how can we overcome fear? We need to focus on the good. You get to spend lots of time at home. You don't have to do as much schoolwork. You get to spend lots of time with your mom and your dad, and you get to go outside and have lots of recesses. All right, but what the video said is very true. Overcome your fear by number one, praying. So what is number one? Praying. All right, you can do this anywhere, anytime. And since you do not drive yet, you can even do it when your mom or dad is driving. So pray anytime, anywhere. Number two, talk to someone you trust. Your parents, obviously, since you're at home, talk to someone you trust when you are fearful of something. So there's lots of tools you can use. Number three is count your blessings. I really like a song by Bing Crosby, and it says, "Instead of counting sheep, when I go to sleep, I count my blessings." What is counting your blessings? Count the good things. Focus on the good. Okay, I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. I have toilet paper to use. I have lots of fun things to do in my house. Some kids don't even have fun things to play with. So be thankful for what you have. Count your blessings. If you do 1, 2, 3, and 4, you will increase your faith and trust in God. And you also can do that by reading His Word. If you don't know where to start, ask your parents. And I think a great book would be Matthew this time of year because it tells the story of Jesus, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Our Awana verse this week is Philippians 4:4. This verse is very appropriate because it reads like this: Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. This is on page 81 of your Awana book. Looks like this, page 81. It's got green in the center. It's green 3:1. So Philippians 4:4. So a lot of you know how we do motions. We're going to do motions and a song today. So Philippians 4:4. Repeat after me. Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. And then the verse is over again. Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. One more time. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Philippians 4:4. All right, you say that to your parents. With only 2 helps, I think you can get it even without 2 helps. That's a pretty easy one. And they can sign the bottom for you, and I'll be double check and make sure you actually know it when I look at your book, when we're all out of this craziness. All right, we're going to try to do two verses. That one was pretty simple. This is a long one. We do need to practice this one. So 2 Corinthians 12. Okay, so we've got to remember the 12 because I can't do 12 fingers because I only have 10. But we're doing 2 Corinthians 12:9. Okay, so 2 Corinthians 12:9. 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he, which means the Lord, he's talking, said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon him. It's kind of funny how all the verses that we're dealing with are really, actually, it's not funny, it's awesome. It's kind of awesome how all the verses we're dealing with we can apply right now. So, you may not feel the craziness, or maybe you do already, being inside for a week, but listen to this. But he, the Lord, said to me, here we go, ready? This applies to you too. My grace is sufficient for you. So, what God has given you, the grace, okay? Grace is God's riches at Christ's expense, okay? Grace. God's riches at Christ's expense. Because Christ died on the cross for your sins, we have grace. We are not going to hell. If we ask Christ into our life, he will deliver us from hell, and he has given us grace. He says, my grace is sufficient for you. We deserve hell, but he has given us eternity in heaven. So his grace is sufficient. Sufficient means enough. God gives us enough grace. Okay, so sufficient is we have enough. For my power is made perfect in weakness. How appropriate is that now? So God's power is made perfect when we're weak. We need to rely on him. Next line says this, therefore I will boast. Boasting sometimes can mean something bad. In this case, it is something good. So boasting can be like, oh, I did the best on the score. I did better than you. You guys may think it's like bragging. That would be like the bad kind of boasting. Like, I got a perfect score. I got a perfect score. Okay, that would be boasting, some type that is bad. Boasting that is good means like this. My mom is so awesome. She is so cool. Or in this case, it can mean God is incredible. God is so perfect for me. He has given me everything that I need. I love God so much. You are boasting in who God is and what he has done for you. So therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness. So this verse is saying you're going to brag about you being weak because God is strong. Okay? So you're going to boast. Yes, I'm weak, but God is strong, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Others can see that you cannot do this by yourself. You want to know why some adults and even some kids are freaking out during this time? Because they do not have the peace of God. And if they do, they need to rely on him more if they're freaking out. All right? So, yes, we are weak. Our bodies are weak. Our strength is weak. Sometimes it's really hard to fight sin, but God makes us strong when we rely on him. Okay. So let's go back to 2 Corinthians 12:9, and let's repeat it again. I want you, after we get done with this video, I want you to practice. After you memorize it with 2 helps, kinders, you get 3 helps. I want you to be able to tell your parent what this verse means. That's the most important. You can learn every single word of this verse perfectly and not know what it means, and it means nothing to you, okay? Unless you hide God's word in your heart, okay? You know what the verse means. It's very important that you know what the verse means. If you still don't understand what it means, go back and review what I said it means, or ask your parent what it means. And also, on the bottom in this blue little section on your page, on page 85, you will see it gives the definitions of what grace, my finger, it's like the opposite way, grace, sufficient, and boast mean. So that will also help you. All right. This is Paul talking, and this is what God told him. But he, oh wait, we forgot to do the reference. Okay, 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he, the Lord, said to me, okay, because this is Paul talking, my grace. What should we do for grace? Let's see. Let's just not do one for grace. Okay. My grace is sufficient, because you have enough. Sufficient. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. In weakness. Okay? So for my power, that's God's power, not my power. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness. Weakness. You can't see my shoulders. Weakness. So that the power of Christ, remember this is always our sign for Christ, may rest upon me. All right. So let's do it one more time, the whole thing without any stops. All right. 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he, the Lord, said to me, remember this is Paul speaking, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. All right, I hope that helps you out this week. Learn it, and have your parents sign it, and I'll be quizzing you, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Try and remember these verses when you get scared, all right? And don't forget that lots of people had fear in the Bible, but they trusted in Jesus to help them with their fear. And God makes you strong when you are weak. Love you guys. See you next week.